Okay, this is Sayateni, and these are the mindsets for success. So the first thing we need to talk about is the locus of control. So basically what that is the degree to which outside sources have influence on your life. So there's two different kinds, internal and external. So internal means that outside sources have very little influence on your life and the outcomes of the decisions that you make. So people that have an internal locus of control tend to be more responsible because they place the blame on themselves or they take responsibility for their own actions. They also believe that they have control over the outcomes of their own efforts. And external is kind of the opposite. So it means that outside sources have a lot of influence on you. People with external locuses of control place the blame on everything else around them. So they believe they have zero control over outcomes of their own efforts. And they're also are a lot more likely to believe in fate or destiny. So one thing that might be a little bit confusing is whether or not these have like a positive or negative impact on you. So internal locus of control are going to be mostly positive. And that's because if you have an internal locus of control, you have a really strong sense of self-efficacy, which basically just means that you have a lot of confidence that you can achieve difficult things. You also are a lot less likely to compare yourself to other people because you're so focused on yourself and your own efforts. And people with internal locuses of control tend to be happier because they're confident and secure in their own abilities. You should know though that it can be negative, especially if you're in like an unfamiliar situation. You're a lot more likely to blame yourself for not being good at something or mistakes that you make, and that can be damaging to your self-esteem and your overall self-image. External, on the other hand, is going to be mostly negative, and that's because they put the blame on outside sources. So they don't credit themselves for their own successes, and they also have a difficult time thinking that they have control over anything in their lives. So they think they have no way of changing or bettering themselves or their situations. People with external locuses of control tend to be more prone to feeling hopeless, powerless, and helpless. You should know also, though, that it can be positive in unfamiliar settings like internal locuses, where if you're doing something that you're unfamiliar with or not good at, it can be beneficial to you to not blame yourself for that and understand that it's out of your control in that situation. Overall, though, an internal locus of control is going to result in a much more motivated individual. So you should strive to have that internal locus of control and take responsibility over yourself and your learning, especially. So another important mindset to understand when we're talking about success is a growth mindset. And that basically is a belief that your talents and your intellect can be developed through your own hard work. So it's going to be pretty easy here to see the comparison with the growth mindset and your locus of control, because we do have two aspects here. We have a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. So like I said, your growth mindset, people with growth mindsets are probably always going to be seeking for new ways to improve themselves. They're going to learn from their mistakes and they're going to take responsibility for their learning, much like that internal locus of control. And we also have a fixed mindset, which is going to look very similar to an external locus, because people with fixed mindsets think that there's no way for them to change or improve their talents or their intellect. They're going to give subpar effort most of the time because they believe they can't do any better on their own, and they give up easily. But much like an internal locus of control, a growth mindset is going to make you a much more motivated and encouraged person. So really closely related to a growth mindset is grit. And I personally like to define grit as a growth mindset mixed with resiliency. So growth mindset is the belief and confidence that you can achieve. And then when you add resiliency to that, you can push through your trials and allow yourself to learn from those failures and mistakes. People with grit are strong-willed and goal-oriented, which is a really important mindset for success. Another mindset that we need to keep in mind is the innovator's mindset, which takes the ideas that we've already discussed with growth mindset and grit and your internal locus of control and focuses on your ability to create. So obviously, we already know that we should believe that our talents and ability and intelligence can be developed, but we need to also think about how they can be developed to create new and better ideas. So people who have an innovator's mindset, they can take the question from why can't I do this to what can I create to aid my situation. So you're going to use those positive attitudes and mindsets that we learned before to create better environments, opportunities, and develop new and better ideas. And you should always be asking yourself, is there a better way? An innovator's mindset is going to create a more forward-thinking and innovative person, especially a student in the classroom. And once again, it's going to make you more motivated and excited about taking control over your own learning. So those are our mindsets for success.